Welcome to ICG India. Here we upload technical course on mechanical engineering, electronics engineering, and computer engineering. We also upload tutorial on programming language, software, and engineering mathematics. So far, we discussed about how to create a front-end application for Todo. This is a sign-in page, registration page, and to-do task page. So far, we created these three pages for to-do application. In this video, we are going to discuss about how to create a database model for to-do application. Here, I'm going to create two types of model. First model, user model. Second model, task model. Then I will show you how to migrate the database. First, I'm going to create a user model to store the information in registration page. In the registration page, the user will enter name, email, and password. This information will be stored in user model. Whenever you press register button, the data entered in this field will be stored in database. So we need to create a table in database in the name of user model to store name, password, and email ID. This is a default ID in database table. This is unique to particular table. Actually, there is no need to create a table in Laravel. During the project setup of Laravel, we entered a command php artisan migrate. So whenever you enter php artisan migrate first time, it will automatically create the user table. The user table will have lot of information, but these are the three main information we need. It's already available. I will show you the user model in Postgresql. This is the project folder of our to-do application. Open.env file. This is the name of database to-do app1. Go to PostgreSQL. Identify the database to-do app1. Inside the to-do app1, there is a table. Inside the table, you can find a table in the name of user. This is nothing but user model. Here, we can see the information: ID, name, email, password. Apart from that, it will also have some other information which is not required, like email verified at, remember token created at, etc. But these are the basic information: ID, name, email, and password. These are the information we are getting in the registration page. It is already available inside the database. So there is no need to worry about user model. I'm going to create the task model. In your to-do page, when you type some task on this input field, when you press the add button, then the corresponding task will be added into the task table. Let's say, for example, we entered front-end database backend as task, and these details will be stored inside the table like this. Then there is an option called is completed. By default, it is a false. Suppose if you click on this particular task, then that is completed will be changed in true, which means the task completed. So whenever you press the mouse on particular task, then it will change from false to true. The moment it changes to true, there is a underline on this particular task. It says that task is completed, which means true. Here we are saving one more information, the user ID. So this is very, very important. All the tasks will be stored in a single table. So whenever an user create a task, it will be stored with user ID. This user ID is a foreign key for user table. This is the user table, user model. Here there is an ID. We are storing that ID in our task table. Let's say a Kumar created a task. Then the user ID of Kumar will be stored in task table. Here the two represent the particular task backend created by Kumar. So we store that information inside this table. To create and migrate this table, you need to execute three commands: PHP artisan make model task, PHP artisan make migration create task table. When you execute these two commands, it will create a model file in the name of task. When you execute the second command, it will create a table in database. Here the capital T is very important because Laravel follows Pascal standard. Here that capital T is very important. Whenever you create a model and you have to use capital letters for naming the application. Then PHP artisan make migration create underscore task. Whatever the name you are giving here, then you have to add plural task. And all these letters are smaller letters. This is a standard you have to follow throughout the application. After creating this to a table, then you have to enter some details. Let's see how to enter those details in VS Code. After that, you have to enter PHP artisan migrate. If the migration is successful, then you can see your task model in your PostgreSQL application. Type PHP artisan make model task. Here T capital letter. It will create file task.php. Let me enter one more command. PHP artisan make migration create task plural table. It will create a table inside the database. So now we can see these two information in our file. Go to model. So this is a model. Inside the model, you can see that in a task table. We already have seen the user table, user model. So this is the task model. Similarly, you can see a database here. See here, there is a database table, task table. Now I'm going to enter some details inside these files. First, go to task table. This is a task table. It contains two information, ID and timestamp. Here I'm going to add some more information. Here, I created two column header. By default, it has ID and timestamp. Here, I created two more heading for column. Column 2, task. It will store the task. Column 3 is completed. By default, it is false. Whenever I click on mouse, it will be converted into true. Like for that, I have to write a code. Here, I have to store the user ID. We get this user ID of user from the user table. So I have to use the user ID as a foreign ID where the reference is ID from users table. We already created a user table. So from that user table, there is a column called ID. So whatever the value available on that column will be stored in inside the task table as user ID. Then we have to add on delete cascade nullable. Let's store this. So let's save this file. Next, I'm going to open the model task where we have to specify the values which we have to store in our task application. Here we have to mention the fillable items. There are three items like task is completed, user ID, which I would like to store it in our database. So that details have to mention inside the task model. We have to enter these details. Public function user return this belongs to user class. The reason for entering this function here is we need to assess the value user ID from the user task. We need to assess the user ID from user table. So I have to enter this detail because this is task table. Inside the task model, I would like to access the user model. For that, I have to enter this detail. There is a spelling mistake in foreign, Foreign. Then here, references. Here, we need to add one more parameter. This is foreign ID, but before foreign ID, we have to define this here. Save the file, execute PHP artisan migrate. So now create task table is created. We can verify this in PostgreSQL. When you open that file, you can see all these details in the column header. Now you can see inside the table, there is a table called tasks. Now we can see all the details of task ID, task is completed, user ID. All these details are available inside the task. So this is how you can create a database in the name of task table and user table. And this is how you can connect the database with your Laravel application. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to interface the front end with the database.